welcome to Doodtacular, where curiosity meets creativity. I am your host, Colt, alongside my guest co-host, Will Pog, is in for Freeman today. And we have the honor of talking with Mark Liberto today. And Mark is a cloud software architect, business consultant, and the owner and producer of DEVHOUR Games, and a founding member of the Collegiate Fighting Game Conference. He resides with his bride of 8 years, Brianna, in Western Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh, where she owns and operates a performing arts center where they're working on global technology projects, traveling for work, or helping with the team at DevHour Games with the production and writing. He lives by an anchor of faith and hope and an idea that one has a choice in how they react to what happens to them and an obligation of love and justice for their neighbors. Welcome to the show, Mark Liberto.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's nice to meet you, Colt. Will, I know you,
Yeah.
so nothing
Yes,
else.
Everybody knows
yes,
Will on
yes.
Twitch,
Every,
I feel like.
No
yeah, he's the
introduction
coffee
needed.
guy.
Yes,
He is.
I'm the coffee
He
guy.
he
Yeah,
somehow
yeah,
manages
I'm
to
the
be
coffee
in
guy.
every single channel at some point to know everyone.
Yeah, there's
Yep,
there's
exactly.
there's a gift there. I'm not sure
There
what it
is.
is, but you have it for sure.
Yes. My
Yeah,
wife has the same gift in our real life living area. Everywhere we go, she knows somebody,
Yeah.
if not
Oh,
everybody.
so that's actually the opposite because but my gift is not having a real life. So that's
Mm,
where we
mm.
differentiate. So yeah,
I
so
mean, if we're gonna
but
deduce what he said, then you got to extrapolate and run with it. No,
Yeah.
that's a whole thing you could talk about relationships. I think tangible real world relationships are very important, but I do
Mhm.
believe through the internet, through communities you can find on Twitch, you can actually make those as well, and they can expand into that real tangible relationship.
So briefly, other than what's in your bio, can you just briefly tell us what you do yourself? Just
Yeah,
introduce yourself a little bit.
yeah. So you got me down. I'm Mark Liberto. I am 34 years old. I for the last 8 years, I've been a business consultant, technology consultant, where I essentially work with a lot of large global companies doing various technology projects. Back in 2018, 2017, because I remember the Nintendo Switch just came out. I was at a project in Chicago, sit next to one of the other consultants. We started talking. He made games. Previously, before I was consulting, I was a brand manager at GlaxoSmithKline, so I helped run and manage the Sensodyne Pronamel toothpaste. Great product.
Oh,
Was awesome work. Very different from what I do now, but I basically got extensive experience in brand management, which if it's that's a vague term, but it's essentially running a business in all facets of it within a large company like that, like a Procter and Gamble or a GSK. So you manage the marketing, the advertising, supply chain, all of that. So I told him about that, and by 2019, we had a company formed, we had a game, and we were actually exhibiting at E3 for our
wow.
first release, which was awesome and exciting. That's ongoing. Yeah, we
how was
like I said,
that? How was presenting your game at E3?
I think I peaked. I think that was the apex of my life.
So we can all
That's
agree we've all been past our peak now, so that's good.
Yeah. Oh, that was it for sure. No, that was incredible. That was an incredible experience. One, it was the last E3, so we have an inside joke where we killed E3. They let us in, and they were like, we don't need this anymore. But no, it was incredible. So we had, we're setting up, and we're backstage access, right? We're there before the press is there, and I remember just pulling up to the convention center, showing our special badges, and like walking in. There's Bethesda setting up, and they have these large crates before they set up their exhibit, and it just says like private, do not take photos. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was incredible. Every day for about an hour before the doors open to press and public, my team and I would walk the floor and just look at everything, which was so exciting.
Yeah.
Borderlands 3 was coming out at the time. Cyberpunk was being exhibited. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which is a pretty average game, but I love the franchise, was being exhibited, and they had a huge Saiyan pod. So I embraced that aspect, but then it was a lot of work as well. I mean, you're on that show floor from morning to night, standing the entire time, trying to drag people over to get your game. And it turned out to be pretty successful for us for a few reasons. One, at that point in time, Nintendo denied us. They're like, yeah, we don't want your game, which, we were nobodies. And they were kind of skeptical about who we were. So we got rejected through their traditional application process. But through E3, And through some machinations on Twitter, now X, we were able to find the guy in charge of indie dev, and I just kind of tweeted at him after E3 and showed him our booth, and he tweeted back saying like, "Hey, contact me, we'll get you on there." So if it wasn't for E3, we wouldn't have gotten our access to the Nintendo development platform. And then
Nice.
yeah, we met a lot of cool people. Jason Mewes came by our booth. We took some photos with him, Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. Um, and from a game perspective, we hustled a lot. So Giant Bombcast, pretty well known gaming podcast. I tracked down a few of the hosts of that show, gave them our information, gave them copies of our game, and they ended up covering on their show as well, which helped us out a lot. So it went by super quick. We'd get home every night by like 10 p.m. exhausted, and then you get up 6 a.m. and do it all over again. But it was an absolute blast.
Sounds like an amazing
That's
time.
that's
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
a dream.
But I
Yeah, it was
okay,
100% a dream.
and yeah, and I've read like reviews of the game
Uh-oh.
and yeah. I mean, well, no, good things, good thing. They're positive. Okay. Now
78 on Metacritic, I think
okay.
still.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's higher than that right now.
Oh, that's
But whatever. Like if like you from this super professional world, and then going into the game development world in such a fast and very forward way, the way I see it. How did you um um decide to start creating content around that, or just content in general, uh um to share that to the peoples?
Yeah, so I think two things, right? There's two questions there. Like the fast motion. I greatly attribute my experience as a brand manager to being able to tell, like, to get that team motivated to form a company and then launch. Like Reggie Fils-Aimé, the former president of Nintendo North America, the originator, he was a brand manager at Procter and Gamble. So it's a very good experience to start a business of any kind. So I had experience with that and setting up businesses. So I think that helped us get going quickly from a structural perspective. But then it comes down to just working with people that are more talented and smarter than me that actually make the game, right?
Yeah.
So having good ideas was critical. Then we got lucky with our twist on Pacross with Depiction is our first release. We have another game in the works now. So that started. And then the whole streaming YouTube thing, that I remember being in grad school in like 20. I should remember this because I was like dating my wife at the time. So this is bad. Like 2012, 2013.
You
And
mean
a
your
friend of
ex
mine,
fiance? Yeah,
yeah, my ex-girlfriend, ex-fiance. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I almost went further than that, but that's not the case. Um, I had a good friend who basically showed me this is actually how my wife and I got together, actually. Well, we were friends for a while, but how I convinced her that maybe she should be more than friends. I had a good friend who was a videographer, and he was always into like recording me play my guitar and stuff like that because he just wanted to improve his skills as a video producer. I was over his house one night and we were making a video, and he showed me this thing called Twitch, which at the time I think recently rebranded from Justin TV, which I knew Justin TV. I don't know about all you, but when I was in
Yeah.
college, that's how I watched all the sports I wanted to watch. Like I couldn't
Exactly.
afford cable. And he's like, "Yeah, this is Twitch. And this is what it is. They just watch people play games." And my honest reaction at the time was, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen." Just being blunt. I was like, "Oh," and my buddy was like, "You should do it. You'd be great at it." And at that point, I had a radio show throughout a few years in college with my roommate, so I had an experience doing broadcasting, and I have an experience growing up doing a lot of music, whether it was being in plays and stuff like that, musicals and all that too. So I enjoyed entertainment, right? It wasn't until 2020, the pandemic, where I was like, I'll do it. And I started streaming on Twitch at some point in 2020, off and on and so forth. Just to get my feet wet. And yeah, I mean it's kind of been a journey, right? It all depends on what you're looking for, right? When I first started, I wanted to just be a light of joy on the internet, right? The internet
Hmm.
can be the internet rewards negativity. That's just
Yes.
how our brains are hardwired and how I mean, even pre-internet linear communication models, that's similar, right? You listen to your sports radio host or you listen to your radio host of any kind, people in politics or whatever. It's a lot of negativity that to get you wanting to talk.
Yeah.
And I thought, why not bring my personality out there and try to do something different with it? So that's been the journey. I think since then I've evolved quite a lot and I've learned a lot and I've tried to leverage a lot of my other skills, but it's hard because again, you have to prioritize what your identity is and then what that identity is grounded in and how that extends to everything else you do in life. And for me, my identity isn't grounded in being a streamer. My identity is being a beloved son of God, a husband, a father soon, and then everything else really extends from that. And every even my work that I do on a daily basis as well with my job, it all flows from that and how I can sacrifice myself in some way to do what other people need me to do. So because of that,
Yeah, and
live
that's
streaming isn't
mhm.
always a priority sometimes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, and that's exactly why I asked the question because I know and I lurk more in your streams more than I chat nowadays, unfortunately. But just life. But it's I can tell that you're not, you know, one of those content creators. You create constant content, which is awesome, but you're not one of those content creators who just, you know, a need to make it in the
Yeah.
industry right now
Hmm.
as a content creator, right? And I love that about your content, and
Yeah,
I
it's good
love that
quality.
the nonchalant, just being a good example, giving good advice to people whenever they ask, and so that's the reason I felt interested in it because not a lot of people join this industry with the intention to, or at least with the attitude of just like, I'm not trying to be a billionaire off this. I just want to be a light, right? And so I'm glad that you're one of those people that want to be a light. So I appreciate it. So
Yeah, you can
yeah.
tell even though I've just met you and we've been talking for roughly what 20 minutes, I can already tell off of your personality that you're not the type of person that we see come into like a content industry that's looking to make a big splash and make all this money and stuff. I can tell you're a laid back, honest person, and really that's the attitude that I believe is more valuable in these
Sure.
type of scenes because where you can be a fan of somebody who's super over the top entertaining, it's more you can connect more with people like of your type of personality who actually care about people.
Yeah, I think that's one of those unique things about live streaming or just again making videos or entertainment of some sort online is you actually have direct line with the people who watch you and who enjoy you. And I think there's a responsibility within that to try to be a good role model and be honest with people and be honest with yourself too, because people can easily lose themselves in this pursuit.
Yes.
One, because quite frankly, if people want to do this, I don't get mad at people for this happening, but if people want to do this and be successful, you do have to think about how you're using your time and what you're actually making if it's something people want to watch. That's kind of harsh, but that's a reality of it. And if you know, people don't have dignity because of the money they make or the job they have. People have dignity because they're humans. So that being said, there's still this aspect of it where if you're putting a lot of time into this and it's not taking off, I also feel like I will be the first to tell someone like, hey, maybe this doesn't have to be your main priority because I know a lot of streamers who do put a lot of work into trying to make something successful and they worry about all these other things in life. And I try to tell them, you don't have to do it doesn't have to be an either or, right? Like you can
Mhm.
you can have a job, you can have a career, you can have a family, and you could still do this
Exactly.
and be
Yeah.
grateful for what comes. And if you do have a gift for making things, because I think that's what it's all about, really. It's I'm kind of a nitpicky person when it comes to the term content creation because it feels overly materialistic and consumer. Because the reality is we're making entertainment or we're making infotainment or information. We're providing some type of creation to people. And that goes back to our innate desire to want to create, whether you're a carpenter or whether you are a craftsman of some kind or you're a software engineer. We all have this innate desire to create things. And it's a matter of how are you using something like Twitch or YouTube to bring that thing to life, whatever it is that you've been gifted to do. Um, so yeah, I do stream probably once a week now. But a lot of my work now comes down to just making videos on YouTube, which has been fun because I've been getting pretty savvy with Adobe and learning all those tools, which now I feel like, what else could I do with this? It's
Mhm.
it's it's exciting.
There's a lot you can do with the the Adobe
Yeah, it's an incredible
suite.
product.
It's some crazy software. All right, so
Absolutely.
let's move on. So let's talk about
That was a fantastic. I mean,
no,
that was a fantastic definition, by the way, and I feel like that was just the perfect definition of what content creation is when it
yeah,
comes to our desire as human beings to create, right?
Yeah.
And so that's something that I never thought about, and I think that's great. So I'm sorry, Gold.
no,
I
you're
just
good.
wanted
You're good.
to add that into it. Yeah. So
Yeah. So let's talk about DevHour Games. Is that how you pronounce it? DevHour?
Devour, either
Devour,
or. We
yeah. I
we
didn't know
went
if it
with
was a play on words of devour and yeah.
it is. Our
yeah.
original idea was we hope our games will devour your time. And it's worked for some people. So yeah.
Yeah, that works. So just tell us about
Awesome.
DeVour
Awesome.
Games and what y'all are all about.
Yeah, so there's three of us that are founders and kind of full-time members. We have a few contractors we're working with now. Again, we for our first release, just forming a team and then making one game. We got coverage by Kotaku and a lot of other big outlets, and just to do that was a big deal. So we were excited about that. We had pretty decent sales with our first game, but the reality is game development's extremely hard. That's one thing I try to do with my YouTube channels when I talk about games, because there tends to be this culture. I'll just say it. I think gamers are some of the most how can I put this lightly? Um, I don't want to use
You can't.
spoiled, but
Yeah.
they have an innate ability to complain more than a lot of other people. And again, I think that
Mhm.
comes down to gaming on the internet. But game development is very, very hard, not only to make something work, because it's an amalgamation of, someone who's making music, someone who's making graphic and art, someone who's actually coding the game and design itself, all of it to come together in this symphony. And then you have to work out bugs. Like that's an incredibly challenging process that I don't think people understand. So all of that aside, like even if you do have some success, it's hard to make a living off of it too. And I think that would be
Mhm.
my real dream one day is to make a living making games versus making YouTube videos. I still want to do that, but the game creation itself is a much more enjoyable and enriching process for me. So with that being said, the three of us have full-time jobs. Um, like I said, the other one was a consultant. He's now not doing consulting anymore because it's kind of a terrible industry. But if you make it past 3 years, you're probably never going to quit because the money's pretty good. Um,
Makes it a lot of money. Yeah, exactly.
Eh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
and then the other one is still a consultant as well. He's a software engineer, and he does work like that. And we actually contract work out to other game development companies through DevHour Games as well. So there's some small projects my other teammates are working on. So that's
oh,
kind
that's
of the
awesome.
group. We have a project we've been working on for a while called Loveland, which
Mhm.
is it's slowly coming to fruition. I'm excited about it. It's about the Loveland frog. If there's any fans of cryptid animals or anything like that, which I had no idea this thing was one. I know Bigfoot, I know Mothman, I know all of that. The
I
Loveland
have
frog is in.
no I
Yeah,
have no knowledge of the Loveland
This is
frog.
the first I'm
I
hearing
just
that the
know the
Loveland frog is
from
a thing.
checking it out that the game was about frogs,
yeah,
but I do
yeah.
not know the story.
Yeah, so
Well,
I didn't know it either.
before you talk about Loveland, because I'm really interested in that. I think you would love. I don't know if you're able to get in contact with him, or because I mean, he's bigger in the industry. He kind of knows everything about the industry. Um, but Rami Ismail, do you know him? Uh, I think he founded he had one game that like just turned like absolutely ridiculous. It's called fishing, ridiculous fishing, something like that. And it was just a instant hit. But he has become a an advocate for indie development
Sure.
and privately owned company game development and stuff like that. So I feel like you guys would kick it off very very well. And he is the kind of guy that kind of knows everything about everything in the industry, even though he's kind of like in the background. So anyways, that's just
Do you know
one
him? Is
thing
that where you're
before.
getting at, or are you just calling out a name here?
No, I do. I don't know him, but I follow some of my favorite streamers. They do like podcasts and stuff like that. So I listen to their podcasts, and they have them in these podcasts quite often.
Sure, sure.
So that's how I was introduced to him in a way, and I was just like, dude, this is a guy that just like plays Destiny 2, and is just into uh 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 indie development and is an
Sure,
advocate
sure.
for it, and so I love the guy. I love the guy, and so anyway, so it's just a name that for you to keep in mind, I guess, when it comes to indie development. So, but
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Loveland,
don't know him
Loveland, yeah,
personally, but yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of advocates. This guy looks like a distant relative to mine, but it makes sense since he's North African. Um, yeah, so indie game development's interesting, right? Because talking about the game industry as a whole, there is this general consensus that AAA games take a long, long time to make anymore, which is true. Like a game like Spider-Man 2 coming out this Friday, I can't wait for it. That's a
Mm,
game that took a lot of work and a lot of manpower to make, and it's going to come out polished because Insomniac Games knows what they're doing. But if you think about Insomniac Games, Spider-Man, before Spider-Man, they were making a very similar character action, open world driven game. There's only so much innovation a company can do when they invest a lot of capital into talent and teams that know a very specific type of format. So
yeah.
because of that, indie game development is where I think you're going to see the most innovation in perpetuity because one, you do have a lot of people that make a ton of money. Like a Pete Hines probably just got a big paycheck when he got bought by Microsoft. Now he's leaving Bethesda. He might be retired for a year, but he might just decide to start his own company and it's going to be smaller and they're going to have a lot of freedom because they're going to have a lot of money to invest in it. And they're going to make something that they want to make versus what a lot of invested interest and invested momentum is going to dictate that they make. So
Hmm.
again, because of that, that's why you see a lot of these big hits from the indie scene because a lot of the innovations coming from there. I mean, think of a game like Stardew Valley that was made by one person. God bless that guy's girlfriend. I think pretty much supported him throughout the many years he made it. But because of that, I
Man.
mean,
Yeah.
they're kind of set for life now. That game has made a ton of money, and if I think about the amount of revenue that guy alone probably has now, it like drives me crazy thinking about it. But yeah, there's a lot of advocates for indie development, and I think there's a lot of people that are trying to get into indie development, which if you're a game developer or interested in game development, download Unity. I mean, not Unity anymore. Download Unreal,
Yeah,
or
Unity has
or
had
Godot.
some drama lately, yeah. But yeah, I understand,
They've
yeah.
there's been a lot of drama about that, but again, from our perspective, we actually wouldn't be impacted, and a lot of smaller companies wouldn't be. But just download a game engine
Yeah.
and teach yourself. There's a lot of resources out there
Yeah.
to teach yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love like I said, I love indie games. I love the indie games that make it. I love the indie games that are not controlled by uh, uh, just a big company that is trying to push like a particular game, super fast and and when you look at the game scene right now, and you look at indie games compared to the AAA games, the quality it's just like it's very discrepant, right? It's the indie game development, the storytelling, the quality, maybe not the graphics, but just the game itself is just like
Mhm.
miles away from a AAA game normally on a indie compared to AAA. So I'm a huge advocate for indie gamers and and indie games in general. Look at. I mean, eh, can you really consider Baldur's Gate 3 in indie game? I mean, it is okay. It is, by the way, but it is a triple A quality game that is just like blows any kind of AAA game out of the water, which
Yeah.
is I love that they set a standard that way. So when it comes to game development in Loveland, your future projects and stuff like that, like what has influenced you and contributed, I guess, to your game development ideas, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah. So Loveland is a Loveland came out of a game jam. So it originally started, like, for those that don't know, a game jam is essentially, let's say, a weekend long event where developers are given a prompt. Let's make games with this type of game design, or let's make a game with this type of aesthetic. And in this specific game jam, it was like a D-Res game jam where they said, let's make games that have basically PlayStation 1 style graphics. So it started off with that prompt, and I was not
Amazing.
a part of it at the time. I was busy with other things, but I was, still involved with the team. And it started off from there. But the idea of Loveland is it's essentially an adventure exploration game, first person, where dealing with this cryptid frog lore in Loveland, Ohio, which I don't think anyone knew about this unless they're from Ohio.
I didn't. I didn't know Ohio was a real place until now. So actually, anyways,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Ohio's very real. It's very flat. But besides that, their number one export is crippling depression. Anyways, I will say this about it. It's this the Loveland frog's very unique. It essentially is this beast that attracts human mates and then forces them to harvest its eggs from its body. It's very out there. So we were taking our own take on it, which is essentially what happens if a Baptist fundamentalist preacher who has a warped sense of various theologies, various eschatologies, essentially gets to this point where they're convinced that this frog creature is actually like a second coming type thing, and this cult emerges from it. And so that's how I would
Interesting.
Wow.
that's how I will kind of characterize what's going on in the game. You, the protagonist, or a figure known as the agent from an anonymous organization called the Agency. Game Lake Control was actually pretty inspirational on this idea, where it's essentially almost like a top secret government agency that's no named and very very secret, if you will. Said that
Mhm.
twice. So, based on how you play the game, based on what you interact with, based on what you find in the game, it's going to dictate the ending you get. And on top of that, it's going to dictate a lot of other things as well. And like I said, it's still in the works, making progress. It's hard to do that whenever everyone's working full time, and also when you're contracted out on top of your full time job to help with other game projects. But we've gotten a lot of good response to it. We've been featured on some game demos that are pretty well known for indie games, and some pretty big YouTubers that I've never heard about, like Vine Sauce, that other people know about, covered our
Is
game.
is
And
the demo out then?
uh,
Like,
I
is
should be
there a
able to
demo
answer that
out?
quickly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we still have a demo on Steam. I don't know what demo it is, but we've participated in Steam Next Fest a few times, and I'm pretty sure we still have the demo out there on Loveland. I
Yeah.
could be wrong, and then I'm going to look like a horrible producer, but that just goes to show you what it's like being in an
No,
indie team.
no, I love it.
So that's Loveland. We have a lot of different projects we're always pontificating on. We want to
Uh-huh.
make a sequel for Depiction.
This
The-
has nothing to do with, I mean, well, with the interview, but the Loveland frog reminds me of like a folklore thing that we have in the Amazon in Brazil, where the porpoise would like turn into a human, and seduce women and get them pregnant, I
Mhm.
guess. And
On
so so
Porpoise?
so so yeah, and so they would blame, young women would blame the porpoise for getting pregnant or whatever, or this handsome man, whatever. And so
Mhm.
at parties, they uh, 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 at some parties they would be like, if the guy was wearing a hat, because even though he was a human, he would still have his little, like the hole, I
Blowhole?
guess, of
Yeah.
his of the dolphin. And so uh they would have him remove the hat to make sure he didn't have the hole or whatever. So it crazy story. I know, but it just reminded me of this, of the Loveland frog for some reason. So
There's your
anyways,
next game idea.
maybe that's a future
Yeah.
game that you can
Yeah.
talk about. So so
No, that's pretty accurate, and I think in terms of the world we're building with Loveland, we do have desire to do more of a universe with it. Obviously, we have to get this
yeah,
first game out, but there's a lot you can do with the foundation we're setting in
folklore
place.
universe. That's amazing. Yeah,
Well, think
That is a
about like
great
the
idea.
yeah.
X-Files, right? I mean, the X-Files had its, linear story was always telling, but there was always that monster of the week type episode that I always loved
Yeah.
the most. And I think that's
Yep.
something we want to explore. Like I said, we're always looking at doing more with depictions since people really like that. People like Procross type puzzle games. And there's a lot of rumors right now about the Nintendo Switch 2. I really can't say much besides I hope we do get access to release games on that as well, because I do think we'll do more once
Awesome.
that comes. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, so I mean, again, it's not something that, and just to confirm, you can download the demo right now on Loveland on Windows, Apple, or Linux. No, I'm not on Linux. Um,
Windows. Wait, no Android? Are you serious right now? Are
I mean,
you
I love Android, but
actually
no,
serious?
no, yeah, no Android. But yeah, again, it's
Okay.
one of those things where we have a good team and became good friends, and we have a lot of talented people working on the team that have a lot of different interests. But it's again one of those things where, I mean, think about a game like Hollow Knight, Team Cherry. That's more of an
Mhm.
indie company in my mind. I know you mentioned Baldur's Gate, Larian Studios. They're a private company, but I wouldn't consider them indie. They in a lot of ways they have a lot of capabilities behind them that it benefits that they're private, but and this is kind of semantics, but I wouldn't necessarily consider them indie. But Team Cherry with Hollow Knight made one of the best games
Yeah.
that in the last few years. It's one of the
Mhm.
most beloved
Yeah.
Metrovanias out there, and it's fantastic, fantastic game. They've been working on a sequel for that for years. Silksong. People keep wondering, where is it at? Where is it at? Now, I have a good friend who literally has a tattoo of the Hollow Knight on his body. Um,
Wow.
but you can get frustrated when this doesn't come, and I'm kind of in this position where I get it. One, if you want to make a successor to Hollow Knight, you got to do a lot with it, and if you want it to be as polished as Hollow Knight was, you really have to put a lot of work into it. So depending on how big the team is, it could take a long time. And the reality is there's more anticipation for this one than the first one, simply because no one knew about them, right? There
Yeah.
that
Well,
that game
yeah.
was being prototyped for a long, long time. Now there's this expectation and this public pressure that can be rough sometimes internally as a development team.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and stand to be corrected, that Larian Studios at this point is not an indie developer anymore, especially after Baldur's Gate. It's just that I guess I was focusing more on the fact that they were private and
Sure.
and would not sell out, and just kind of developed whatever the heck they wanted, and but you've got example like you said, Stardew Valley, Hades. You've got, I mean, heck, even Minecraft was developed by an indie developer, right? At
Yeah.
one point, and so and so I guess that's what I meant but I do agree. Larian Studios today is not a indie developer anymore, in any way, shape, or form. Um, but but man, for a company, a private company, to work on a game for 8 years,
Wow.
um, and um, not say anything about it, or say very little about it, and just launch an awesome game. I love that. I love that. That's just something you don't see with AAA games, and um yeah, so
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, I stand corrected when it comes to Larian Studios not being an indie game developer, for sure. So yeah.
Well, you're still right though. There is a
Today, today,
differentiation
today, today.
between
Yeah,
private studios typically and a AAA public company, right? Because with the public company aspect, you have the invested interests of the stakeholders, typically, or the various stockholders,
yeah.
Yeah.
and that creates a if you're a U.S. company, you have a fiduciary responsibility to constantly increase value in your stock. So that creates this kind of pursuit mentality where, for example, how many games as a service have we seen released over the last 5 to 6 years? Quite a lot. How many of them have succeeded? There's a few, and I don't think games as a service is a platform that can really be too big. I think there can only be a few big players out there that can succeed because I think typically those are types of games that you constantly have to play. And there's only so many games that can be like that, right?
Hmm.
And so you see that mentality. Everyone wants to do a battle royale. Everyone wants to do a battle pass. All of that. So there is that mentality you definitely see more in the public AAA companies versus the private AAA companies. But I know Larian
Right,
again.
right, right,
They made their bread and butter doing just fantastic RPGs, Divinity, now
right.
Baldur's Gate, all
Yeah.
of that. So they definitely have the skill set. For example, though, Team Cherry's core team is only 3 people as well. So that's the core team, just like us.
Well,
They're more successful than us, so they definitely have more contractors, but that's still saying a lot that we have a core team with 3 people that are responsible at the end of the day for this game. It takes a lot of time to make a successor to Hollow Knight.
that's why
Yeah.
I love and I cheer for Loveland, you and teams, small teams, and also teams like Larian, because these are guys who have been working together for 20 years. I mean, literally 20 years. I mean, they haven't left. Nobody left. They're just kind of developing together, uh, um, adjusting to the times together, whatever. I mean, they're just in the trenches with each other for the long haul. And so, any company that is willing um, to do that, with people that are willing to do that, man, has my 100 the support, 100% support. So, anyways, yeah, pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So going back to your content creation, and maybe more specifically your YouTube content, what
Sure.
is like your main focus of your style of content?
Yeah, it's a great question. So again, I try to leverage my experience in gaming to try to bring a joyful, charitable approach to understanding what's happening, right? When I say charity, that doesn't mean I'm giving games away, but what I mean by charity is, what we're called to do for each other, to kind of lean in with an epistemology of love and suspect the best of someone versus the worst, right? I think it's
Yeah.
very easy to look at game companies or a lot of people in the public and think, oh, they have evil intentions. Like they wanted to screw you over or they wanted to do this, but I just don't think anthropologically that makes sense. I think most people think they're doing something good. They just maybe don't know what the actual good is, right? And
Right.
so I try to bring that into discussion whenever I'm talking about gaming news, which every week or so I'll do a new video, whether it's on latest rumors or news or my top 5 favorite Metroidvanias on the Switch. I'm working on some reviews right now for a couple games that are coming out this month of October, which October is robbing my wallet. So I try to bring that type of charitable view and lens into
Okay.
talking about games because again, there's a lot of people out there that are going to do the opposite. I don't want to go down that route. My
Yeah.
I, I wouldn't feel good about myself, quite honestly, if I, just was spitting hate essentially.
And most of those people have never had anything to do with any part of developing a game in any aspect. So they have no idea what it takes. Like me, I have no idea what it takes or what it actually takes to make a game or the work that or hours
Yeah.
that are put in. I can only imagine that it's, a long process and that a lot of blood, sweat and tears and heart goes into it. And then people to just give it 10 minutes and trash it's pretty crappy.
That's you said blood, sweat, and tears. There's a great book by Jason Schreier, who was once the editor of Kotaku. He
Oh,
left, and I feel like Kotaku went downhill with him, but he's now at Bloomberg doing gaming news. It's called Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. Fantastic book that will take you through various stories about some of the biggest games of the last decade and just essentially capture what you just talked about. It's a real good read. One of the best books in gaming I've seen. But you are right that and I personally have to balance that
Awesome.
sometime because the reality is we're still making games for you, the players. And it would be
mhm,
very elitist of me to just always be, hey, you just don't know what you're talking about. This is good and you're just wrong. If I'm not putting something out there that is fun or is functional, then that is a problem. But at the other end of it, I feel like people get real trapped in that middle ground, especially with how games are released nowadays, right? We followed the software model where it's no longer you get your Sega Genesis cartridge and that's it, right? They're constantly getting patched, they're constantly getting updated.
yep,
So I think in that middle ground discussion, I just try to elevate, what could be going on. For example, why are these games coming out and they're only 30 frames per second? I thought we were going to get this now. I thought it was going to be 60 frames constantly. Talk about why that might be the case. Well, as Unreal Engine 5 is utilized more, there's going to have to be a learning curve. Things of that nature. I mean, a game like Loveland is not an impressive game in terms of graphics. So you would think any console could run this. But even if you make a single mistake in development that causes what we would call like a memory leak, and in memory leak terms, if I could try to say it, is essentially if you go into one room, there's a couch, and you leave that room, in some sense, your memory is going to drop that cache and not worry about processing all that all at once. But the memory leak is essentially where it starts to make sure all those things are still kind of running in the game, so it could
uh-huh,
essentially tax your system. And I could tell you when we were doing demos for Loveland at the very beginning, we caused some people's PCs to have some problems. And again, you wouldn't think that,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
that can happen even with a very low end type of game.
I mean,
So
it happened with Diablo. I think. I think it even happened with Diablo. The memory leak. If I'm not mistaken.
memory leaks
So
are very common.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and they're very, very common, and they're probably the culprit of a lot of performance issues as well. But yeah, so again, like that whole elitist paradigm I do try to avoid because I do think at the end of the day, if you're going to talk about a game review, for example, cool, you're going to spend $70 on this game
Mhm.
and maybe it's broken. Maybe it is garbage. Maybe it's not worth it. I'm not going to sit there and be like, we just don't know how much work we put into it. Right. So you do have to be honest about that end product you produce.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
And constructive
yeah. I
criticism is always
definitely, yeah, I
probably
definitely,
appreciated just because,
yeah.
well, I don't, yeah, you have those toxic people that are going to just throw it out, as soon as they don't enjoy the first thing. But I'm sure game developers are looking for people who are going to give them a sensible review and really tell them what they're experiencing.
That's an important part. Constructive feedback is not something you see a lot, especially in Steam reviews.
Yeah.
Although some Steam reviews can be the most honest and helpful. But even professional game reviews as well, there's a lot of biases that can come into play. Like I just saw, I don't know if it was IGN or Game Informer just gave this new game, The Lords of Fallen, which is a pretty good game. It has some technical challenges, but it's a pretty good game. They give it a 5. And I'm just there's something really
Wow, that's
subjective. Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
there's something really subjective about it that just makes me wonder what was going on here and what is that 5 in context of, which is also kind of an issue with the whole numbering system. Or like
Hmm.
Starfield.
Yeah.
Starfield was one of those games that had a lot of heat around it, and I'm sitting back playing it. Like, I don't really like Bethesda games that much, but I'm having a ton of fun. So
Same.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah. So if a game's fun and you're enjoying your time with it, it's probably a good game. You know, it might there just might not be
Right.
games for you too, right? Like
True.
that's something we have to be
Yeah.
honest about.
Yeah. 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 And that's where I follow like people like Ko when it comes to game reviews because he's not like influenced, I guess, by the IGNs or Kotaku reviews or whatever. And I feel like you cannot judge a game by the reviews generally. Like you just can't. You can't. You have to actually play it. And I watch Lords of the Falling gameplay. Look, I hate Souls-like games. Okay, absolutely hate it. Nothing. Like, look, I watch you play it, Mark. I watch you play it, and I love you, but I would never play a game like that ever. Um, but Lords of the Falling, that's an amazing game when it comes to a Souls-like. Same as Liza P and things like that. Um, so for a guy who doesn't even like Souls-like games, these two games are actually really good. The story, man, especially Liza P. The story is actually pretty awesome. But so um, so yeah, we can't hang on some of these big company reviews, I guess, when it comes to games that are coming out. And Starfield, you said you're not a Bethesda fan. I mean, Starfield is a Bethesda game
Through and through.
through and through.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
it is a Bethesda game through and through. And so the fact that you like the game and you're not a Bethesda fan, you're in the you're a very rare gamer, okay? Because normally the decision is if you like Bethesda games, you're gonna like Starfield. If you don't like Bethesda style games, you're gonna hate Starfield. You're in that middle where you don't like Bethesda games, but you actually like Starfield. I mean, and I know it has its problems, but
Sure.
um, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And let me clarify that a bit too. I've historically bounced off Bethesda games to the point where I've had fun for like
Okay.
10
Okay.
10 hours or so that I'm like, I'm just
Yeah.
not feeling it,
Yeah.
you know. But this one, Starfield, I wanted to see it through, and I really love what they did. With you're playing it right now, Colt?
Yes. So I think I haven't played it in about 2 weeks now,
Okay,
just because I've been busy. But I believe I'm on the final mission. I believe I'm
okay.
about to go into the final main story quest.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things that they did with New Game Plus and how it relates to the story. I imagine, Will, you
Hmm.
probably watched a playthrough, maybe. I don't know if you've been playing it.
Yeah.
But, it's really cool, and I
Have you
got
done?
a
Have you
little
been through New Game Plus?
I
Are
started a bit,
you
but
a
then
New
I
Game
just said,
Plus?
"Okay,
Okay.
I don't have the time to invest in this." This is just, it's one of
Yeah.
those
Okay.
decisions where if I had nothing else going on in my life, I would sit down and play this on top of everything else that I need to check out as well. But I've read a lot about how it works and how it iterates. I got probably about 2 hours into it, then I realized what was going on. I was like, "This is really cool. That's awesome. It's not gonna be for me." And that's similar to like Baldur's Gate 3. That is not a game for me at all. But I could stand back and look what they did and look how they exceeded at trying to achieve at what they wanted to do and go, great job. Right. And I think kind of talking about reviews again, there's that subjective preference that I think comes into play sometimes. But I try to look at it from a going to use another theological term here, but a teleological, which is essentially a Greek term, essentially teleos, which what was the goal? What is the end purpose here, right? What is, it applies to you personally. What is your end? What is your direction? What are you aiming for? And for a game, if you're going to review it based on what it was aiming to be. And if you don't like what it's aiming to be, that's okay, but that doesn't mean it's bad. If they succeeded at trying to be what they aimed to be, then they probably did a really good job, and at least give them credit for that.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I never played Baldur's Gate. Um, I've only
You're
watched
probably watching
Baldur's Gate.
Jono,
I'm
right?
not. No, I'm actually. I actually watched.
Wow, you're not
I
watching
pretty much.
Jono anymore?
Well, I watch Jono, okay, but Jono streams once every 2 weeks, okay, buddy. So don't start, okay.
Okay, buddy.
But the thing is, like I am not a D&D person, okay.
Me neither.
I've never played it. I have zero interest in it. Um, it's just not my style of game. But Baldur's Gate 3 actually made me want to try that style of game. So
Sure.
I'm not talking about Baldur's Gate 3 as a bandwagon person. I'm talking about Baldur's Gate 3 as a person who like who had zero interest and zero like uh like did not like at all the D&D environment or the D&D game environment. And Baldur's Gate 3 just made me, I was like, heck, I want to play this game, you know. And
Sure.
so that's what I think that's what good storytelling does and good development does, you know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm the same way with D&D. Again, I can appreciate D&D from afar, especially because D&D is the foundation for a lot of the early game developers and designers. That's where they cut their teeth, like Romero, Carmack. I mean, a lot of the legendary developers and designers that built the gaming world in the 80s and 90s, they started off as dungeon masters. And when you look at D&D and the structure of it, and then you look at a action RPG, you see how it connects. I think if I was probably a kid in the 70s or 80s, I would have been more into it. But I tend to appreciate the more instantaneous gratification that a video game gives me.
right.
Again, because of just timing. Like I don't have time. If I'm going to get together with people on a weeknight, it's going to be for something different than, you know, playing a D&D. That being said,
Yeah.
I think November, some weekend in November, there's a local brewery that's having a dungeon master event where you can bring your crew. They'll
No
assign a
way.
dungeon master to you, and you essentially just tell your level of experience, and they'll make a campaign for you and your friends to have fun with, and that just sounds like a good time. So
Yeah,
I
That
that
might
sounds
sounds
do
great.
that.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
And
like a
Baldur's
one
Gate
shot
3
event?
actually,
It's a one-shot
yeah.
event, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, and again, like, meant for a few hours, and
Mm-hmm.
my friends and I, when we have played in the past, I am that jerk that is always trying to do something really dumb. Like, I can't take it seriously. I just
Yeah.
can't, and
How can
that's just my
that's
personality. I know some
exactly
people
who
get
I
upset at
picture
that.
you as in D&D. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, one time a goblin killed my dog, and I got real angry, and so I ran off. I died, and my party died, and that was it. I'm like, "Well, can we just restart?" It's just, it happens.
Okay. 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 You don't seem to be very wise in D&D gameplay.
I just know if I
However,
fought that goblin in
uh,
real life, I would have destroyed it.
you
That's the mentality I was bringing into it. The thing's like 3 feet, okay? I'm 5'11", 270. I would destroy that goblin.
however, okay, just from the relationship that I've had with you through streaming, texting, just everything, um, you are a wise person, and I really do appreciate you, and you do influence my life more than you
Uh-oh.
actually know.
He's gonna start
Sorry, Will.
mushy on
If
us.
you
Yeah.
if you wanted, and I'm not trying to get mushy again,
A little bit.
you know, if you wanted to give an advice to somebody, if you know, if you wished that somebody would have given you an advice, you know, before a major live event, what would that advice be? You know, so and it could be in gaming, it could be personal life, anything. So yeah.
It's a good question. I've never really thought about that too much, to be honest with you. I wish, I think we can all look back upon, like, I heard you guys talking about all the interactions you had with the police when you were
Yeah, good
younger,
times.
and I had those too, right? So I'm not going to talk about my stories because I never, there was a few times I didn't get away. Um, I mean, I think we could all say, oh, we wish we had more wisdom. And I think life gives us that wisdom. But if there's one bit of advice that I think's been very important for me, um, throughout my entire life, it's probably been something I've seen instilled in me from my uncle, who he took me in when I was in high school, where anytime there was a hardship with a family member or just anything in life that was hard, it was just a matter of, well, you got to love them. And
Mm,
love, what that means and looks like, can be different for the situation. But loving them always means you lean in. Again, going back to that charity, saying, I want the best for you. And what that means in the time, again, could be different. There might be times where you have to step away, but you always respond. But there's times when you gotta dig in and do whatever you can for that person. So I think that's been critical to who I am. And also just sacrifice, ultimate sacrifice. Like I think we are sanctified every day, in how we pick up and suffer for those we love, right? To me, this is something I heard the other day from a homily, which I thought, makes so much sense. But again, we always wonder, well, what's God calling us to do? What are we called to do? What's the journey we're in? And it's much simpler than, oh, maybe he wants me to be a streamer, right? It's who in your life that you love, that you are called to love, what are they asking from you that day? That's your answer. How are you sacrificing for that? Whether it's the job you have, whether it's the sacrifices you have to make for your family. That's the path to joy, in my opinion. And I think those two things, no matter what, you got to love them. People can make you angry. People can make, I have a heavy bag behind me that's 200 pounds for a reason. That gets a lot of frustration vented out of me for quite a lot of times. But no matter what, you lean in with that love and you lean in with sacrifice for those around you. So that's the advice I would say that I've been given or been taught or been really shown and modeled. That's, no matter what dumb mistake I've made, after I made that dumb mistake, I'm like, I knew better. That was dumb.
yeah,
Like, so it's
Yeah.
it's how you got back up from it and move forward.
Yeah.
gotcha.
No.
So what
Awesome.
advice would you give to any of our listeners that are looking to get into game developing?
It's a great question. I think I'll hit it again. There's a lot of platforms out there. Godot is one you could look into. Unity or Unreal. There's a lot of classes online. If you're a self learner, I don't think there's anything stopping you from just picking up one of those engines and just messing around with it. There's a lot of tutorials and, like I said, innate game engine lessons that will just show you how to make a game. You'll start off small with one thing and the other. The other
Mhm.
thing I would say is there's actually a lot of good books out there nowadays that teach you about game design. That Blood, Sweat, and Pixel book, it doesn't get into the nitty gritty of how to make a good game, but it teaches you about what that life is like. And I thought that was great. But there's a lot of other good game design books out there that you could just pick up and just read on your own, just to learn how it all works. The reality is you don't you someone could come around and make one of the best video games of all time, and they could just be a really big fan of tabletop games or board games or card
Yeah.
games, right? And they just it still comes down to that. So I'm a huge Nintendo fan, and it's not because their main mascot is Italian, which is a huge win for Italy. It's not like he's Brazilian or anything. Um, but it comes down to their philosophy and approach to games. When we live in a world where Call of Duty wants you to play every day and you itch up that battle pass, it's fun, but it almost feels like a chore sometimes. And Nintendo's philosophy of game design comes down to fun. It's just the
Yeah.
quintessential element
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
behind their magic.
100% agree.
I've never
Is it
heard it
100%
summed up
agree.
like
fun?
Yeah.
that, but that's perfect way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, I would always say look to them to learn that magic to make sure your game is again, it could be a complex game. Like Baldur's Gate is a complex game, but it's fun. And they do enough with it where it's still not an overburden. And so yeah, I just think Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could study, but the best experience you're gonna get is just by trying. And also, like I said, playing games and learning really what makes something fun. That's a
I
universal
guess making
language.
sure that you like it, right? I mean, because you know, game development, you download a software and you start coding out of the sudden, you know, and you just realize, man, I hate this stuff. I hate, you know, creating this type of, you know what I'm saying, the detail
Yeah.
type. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, just to make sure you actually want to do it, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would imagine if you wanna make games, you probably like, that's not something you're forced into doing often, but there's definitely people that make games that probably hate it so much to the point where maybe they shouldn't. The other end of it, like, there's days where I'm doing any type of thing that I'm typically passionate about, and there's just some days where I hate it. And I think that's also important too, where, it comes down to it, it's still work. It's gonna take effort. It's not just gonna
Yeah.
come to fruition. Again, those success stories we were talking about earlier, Minecraft, Stardew Valley, took a lot of work and sacrifice and blood, sweat,
Right.
and tears, as you said earlier, Colt.
Right.
And
Mhm.
you have to be willing to make that sacrifice. Now, if you're not, it's not a bad thing, but it just might mean you're called to something else. And this is how you find out. So
That's fantastic, fantastic advice. I mean, and you talk about sacrifice. You talk about doing what is necessary to just get the job done, or just be the best person that you can actually be. You definitely married up. Okay, Brianna is definitely in Brazil. We have a term called uh, uh,
watch what you say here, but go
she
ahead.
wait, okay, when a girl is way out of your league, okay, we have a term that says um, she is way too much sand for your little truck. Okay, so your little truck cannot stand that much sand.
Will
Uh,
knows from experience.
Brianna is way too much
I was
sand
just
for your
gonna
little
say that,
truck.
cool.
Okay, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
so so,
Yeah, when the
anyways,
first time I saw
but
a picture of Will's wife, I was like, "This can't be real." Like, this
It's
well,
Photoshop.
nobody believes
That's
she's
actually
real,
the
and
real
you know
Orlando
what?
Bloom's wife. Yeah.
I'm done trying to. Okay, there. The most recent clip in my chat is my wife actually trolling me, where I tell her to say, "Hey, this is a perfect opportunity. Tell chat that you're not a paid actress and that you're actually my wife." And then she goes on camera and says, "Hello, I'm a paid actress," and Will tells me to say that I'm his wife. And so, like, I can't win. I can't win. So,
well, if
anyways,
you can afford
um,
that, good for you, man. It's all
I
good.
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I'm banking. But anyways, so married up, you've got you talked about sacrifice. You talked about uh, um, so how do you manage that in a relationship, and especially in marriage, right? And gosh, I mean, even married people with children. And I know you have a fantastic, amazing story, okay, when it comes to children. So, and I would love to hear it. Um, but what advice would you give to content creators, game developers um, that are going to try to navigate both their or well, not both, their professional life, their content creation life, and also their relational life with their significant other. So that would be my question. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question again, and I think people can disagree with me a bit, but probably still agree on the big picture, which is, to me, I think that really, if you're married, if you're called for marriage and you're married and have a wife, or if you have kids, all that, that's a priority, right? That's clearly a priority. And I think you need to prioritize that. And I think if you do prioritize that and lean in and all of that good stuff, you'll come out with anything else you do in life with joy, right? So, for me, it's always a balance. My wife owns and operates a business. She's a hard worker. Um, She's also very pregnant right now. So there's a lot of things going on. And we always make sure to find time together. So, case in point, whenever she got pregnant and schedules were shifting a bit, I made the decision that I'm not going to stream in the evenings anymore because I just don't have the time for that. And was that fun? Or was that something I woke up being happy about? I'll be honest, like, no, that was a moment for me to say, all right, is there a way for this still to happen? Can I have both here? The reality is I couldn't, and the right answer and the ultimate end was for me to lean into that, and I'm happier
Hmm.
doing that in the long run. And because of
And
that,
that's the
other things
sacrifice we
have
talked about. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
because of that, other things too are flourishing, like YouTube. I've been able to, you know, spend more doing that. And that's actually an advice I'll give to people that do a lot of live streaming is it's a lot of time.
Hmm.
If you want to be successful at live streaming, you gotta, dealing with all the issues with discoverability on platforms and all that, you typically have to put a lot of time in, and that doesn't always give you the most bang for your buck, so to speak. And I would always tell people that do that to explore other ways to create. So YouTube, creating long form or short form entertainment on those platforms. Because the reality is I make one video a week. Sometimes my videos get like 30 views in the first few days. Sometimes my videos get 1,000 plus views. It's kind of easier in the long run to just do that because it's less time in the end, right? And it's
Hmm.
it's almost automating your work, right? Like that is
Right.
up in perpetuity. People are watching my videos right now. And I'm here with you guys, which is awesome. I'm again grateful to be here, but I'm going to sign off. I'm not going to have to worry about live streaming. And when I do live stream, there's that extra channel of people that have discovered me on a YouTube or a TikTok that are going to want to be there when you do go live too. So I would just say that that'd be advice I have for people is one, prioritize your relationships. You're always going to be happier when you spend time with real tangible people in your life. We in America specifically, and a lot of Western countries, I feel like we've become over individualistic. And to that point, we silo each ourselves off into this internet only world or my technology only world. And we start to lose the joy out of the things we previously had joy in. So my paradoxical advice is if you love gaming, spend less time gaming and spend as much time as you can when you have opportunities to hang out with family or friends. And when you come back to gaming, you'll enjoy it more, right? It's it's this idea of unconditional versus conditional goods. Gaming is a conditional good. Sports are a conditional good. Beer, a conditional good. Everything that's
Yep.
been created and given to us is a conditional good in one way or the other. But when you try to make that conditional good your unconditional good, it's going to destroy you. So, case in point, I always use the metaphor of ice cream. I love ice cream. If I eat too much ice cream, if I try to make it my everything, my ultimate meaning in life, I will get diabetes and die very soon. But if I treat it as a conditional good where it has its place, it's going to bring me joy in perpetuity. So that
Right.
again,
Right.
that prioritization of what is the unconditional good, lean into that and let everything else flow from that and make time for family and relationships. Your streaming, your videos, everything else will be infinitely better.
Hmm.
Well, and I told Colt and Freeman, the one who contacted you, I told him as well. One of the things that I most admire about you, I said, look, Mark would be a perfect person for this podcast. At that point, I didn't even know I was going to be here. Okay,
Sure, sure,
but but
sure.
but but
He planned it.
but
Yes.
Mark would just be a perfect person for this podcast just because of his life experience, model, uh, uh, and everything. However, what I said to Freeman specifically, Freeman,
Uh-oh.
I
Uh-oh,
said,
here it is.
look, no, I said, um, the only challenge is the fact that it's a Monday night and he really prioritizes his time with his wife. So that's if anything is going to keep him from being here tonight is something that does not make him spend or does not involve him spending time with his wife, because he's gonna pick that above everything else. And so that's what I want to commend you uh, uh, with, because when I was talking to Freeman about inviting you here, uh, uh, I said that's the only challenge. He loves his wife, and it's amazing, and he's gonna pick her above everything else in life. And so if Monday night is not going to work out, he's not going to be on it. And so uh, again, thank you for being here, because because it just means that yeah, you just gave us a special attention, an undeserved special attention. So I appreciate it. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's kind of you, Will. Yeah, I that's one of those things you hope you do, and it's nice to hear when other people see that. I can
Yeah.
always be better in everything I do. So if at anything, I hope no one comes away thinking like, "Oh, this guy's amazing." I'm like
Yeah.
anyone else, but it's always a journey we're all on every day. Every day, there's something we are growing towards, getting better, getting sanctified, learning every day. There's something else we're called to do better or differently, and that's what we're all on that path. We just got to keep following it. Yeah, my wife got home. She works late nights Monday, Tuesday, and that's typically why I streamed those nights. But it became one of those things where I also wanted to prioritize my health and make sure I could have dinner cooked for her too. And I'm on this new kick where I'm walking 10 miles a day, which is a lot of time.
Whew.
So it just became a large equation to say, yeah, I want all of these things. This is the prioritization. But yeah, now I'll have Tuesday night, I'll have Wednesday night, Thursday night. I told my wife I'm out of pocket Friday night. We got Super Mario Wonder coming out and we got Spider-Man 2. She's gonna have to play some Super Mario if she wants to hang out with me. But again, then Saturday we're gonna be painting our baby's nursery, and that's gonna be awesome. Also,
Oh, that's fun.
yeah. So then Sunday's gonna be day with family. So yeah, lot of
Cool.
time.
All right, we're gonna move into our final segment of the show.
Ooh,
It's a
ooh.
rapid fire round,
Uh-oh.
which we don't necessarily make it rapid fire. We sometimes end up in conversation over these questions, but
Sure.
just answer them as you will. First one is, what is your favorite video game of all time?
Tears of the Kingdom.
Really?
Oh
Yeah,
my
I mean,
gosh,
Legend of
that's
Zelda.
actually it.
Legend of Zelda is my favorite franchise of all time for a lot of reasons. I could spend an hour talking about that. But Breath of the Wild was my favorite Zelda game.
Hmm.
And then Tears of the Kingdom somehow made Breath of the Wild look like a prototype in a lot of ways. So yeah, I just beat Tears of the Kingdom the other day, and I put like 100 hours into it. Love everything about it.
Awesome.
I
I
knew that
beat
was
Breath
going
of
to
the
be your.
Wild,
I
and
knew
I
it was going to
never.
be a Zelda game. I knew it
Yeah,
was going to be a
he
Zelda
told me
game.
you loved
Okay,
Zelda.
so
Yeah, I
yeah,
do.
so
In fact, fun
okay,
story.
so
When I was getting investigated by the TSA on a flight in Japan because I think I had a very nice tan and a long beard, I I was getting on my plane and the TSA guy starts to like go through my bag and then he saw my Nintendo Switch case, which was Legend of Zelda, and he was like, "Oh, this guy's good." And so not only do I love that game, but I'm pretty sure it's gotten me out of any other, additional investigations that I gladly avoided.
in shorter words, racism. Anyways, but okay. So this is
Will said it.
we've gotten into some heated conversations about this question. Okay, and
You and me,
especially when
or
it
you
comes to
and Colt?
no, me and you.
Uh-oh.
When
Mm.
it comes to
I'm just here
Alfredo
for the
sauce.
fun.
Okay, when it comes to Alfredo sauce. So, but however, it doesn't matter if you're wrong in your opinion on what an Alfredo sauce, actually needs. But what is being Italian, Italiano? Um, what is the worst ingredient that people put into an Italian dish?
I guess,
like
can
like
you
like the ingredient that you hate the most, that it's just like they say it's Italian, but it's just like you're just like it's not Italian.
it's a good question to ask me because I really hate the idea that you like chicken lasagna above other forms of lasagna. But I also don't think that that falls under like that doesn't mean it's not Italian, right? To me, it's just crazy that you like that more than beef lasagna or even like a vegetable lasagna.
You know what? Yeah, I'm
But
just
that
better.
being
I'm just
said,
better. Yeah.
um,
Anyways.
as an Italian American, there's a lot of things that we've done as we've innovated on our cultural heritage within this new landscape that makes a lot of dishes different from, true Italian dishes. Like Alfredo sauce isn't really an Italy thing. It's an Italian American thing. It's based on a lot of ways Italians make food using a lot of the ingredients Italians had throughout the early 20th century, Great Depression, all that to do something different with less. So, I can respect that a tradition may grow, but it still comes from that original seed, if you will.
Yeah, it comes
And
from calcio and pepe. It comes with calcio and pepe, right? Basically, the Alfredo sauce. Do you think?
I don't know, but like even carbonara,
Yeah.
carbonara is very popular when you go to an Italian restaurant, but that's
Yeah.
not something you'll necessarily
Yeah.
find when you're in Sicily. Everything
Right.
there is going to be very
Yeah.
spicy, so which is great.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, chicken Alfredo, you're crazy, Will. I mean, not yeah, no, chicken lasagna, chicken
Chicken
lasagna,
lasagna. Yeah, I
chicken
think that's
Alfredo is
crazy
great.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, chicken
Yeah, chicken
Alfredo is the
Alfredo is
best.
awesome,
It's
but
good.
shrimp Alfredo is a lot better. But
No,
but
I
but
know.
that's
but
good.
but
That's good.
chicken lasagna
I
is
don't.
better. Yeah. Um,
Listen,
I have
I'm not
I
one
have
of
a
these.
hang up with shrimp.
okay,
Okay,
but
what's the hang up?
what
What's the
is
hang
your
up?
biggest pet peeve?
Oh yeah,
Asking
you
me?
never answered. Yeah, you never answered your
Yeah.
biggest pet peeve that people put on an Italian dish.
Chicken
Yeah.
lasagna,
Chicken lasagna.
Okay,
just
buddy.
for
I
you,
like it.
Will.
Okay. You know
Yeah,
what?
The shrimp, the
That's
shrimp.
just
So it's not shrimp in general. I love shrimp,
yeah.
but when you put it in, like, so if you put it in an Alfredo, or if you put it in a taco, or if you put it in fajitas, like I don't do shrimp in those settings. I'm like, if I'm eating shrimp, I want shrimp that was made to eat shrimp.
Sure,
Yeah,
I
I
can
just
don't
the
hear
know.
that.
shrimp. Yeah, like just eating the shrimp. Yeah.
Yeah, like I ordered fried shrimp or shrimp scampi or whatever shrimp
Yeah. Yeah.
at my
Yeah.
seafood
Yeah.
restaurant. I don't want to go to a Tex-Mex restaurant and get shrimp in my fajitas.
I can respect that take for sure. For me, I use shrimp in a lot of different dishes. I do like shrimp tacos, but I can get where you're coming from for sure. I think Will
Yeah,
though, he's one of these lucky Brazilians that lives by the water at all times, so he just gets
yeah.
fresh seafood. I'm
He
I'm
just
a
goes out there and catches it with his hands.
yeah, that's I live outside of Pittsburgh, right? I ain't taking anything out of the Monongahela. That's not safe.
True.
Yeah, don't
I'm in
take
the middle of
anything out of the
Texas,
lake
so I'm
in
along.
Pittsburgh,
I'm
okay?
3 hours away
Don't
from it.
eat anything out of a lake in Pittsburgh, please. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but that's a terrible take. I don't agree with it. Chicken lasagna is actually better. But
I
I
actually wouldn't even
respect your
try
opinion.
chicken lasagna, to be honest with you. Like
Yeah,
Oh
if you're
gosh.
like we're having
So
chicken
I'm
lasagna, I'd
alone.
be like,
I'm alone in this. I'm
oh, you're
alone in
definitely
this. Oh
alone.
my
It's
gosh.
beef
yeah,
lasagna all the way. Like
yeah.
that's the only way to go.
Yeah,
Oh
and
gosh.
in fact, I'll be honest, the fact that you push this so much makes me go against it even harder, and I will win. I don't know what that means. It
Okay,
might be 30 years from now,
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna be on
share.
your deathbed because you haven't been eating enough, and I'm gonna come down there and convince everyone in your family that you were crazy all this time for liking chicken lasagna. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I'm going to win.
I'm gonna share one of the things that we most disagree on. One of the things, including chicken lasagna, was the fact that I put nutmeg in my Alfredo sauce.
Did I get on you
And
for that?
you said that does not exist. That is stupid. That is just like that is impossible. That's a sin. And I'm just like, no, that is the real way to make Alfredo sauce. And you were uh, uh, very adamant on being against that. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
was probably just messing with you because of your chicken Alfredo, chicken lasagna take. I actually got a better flavor with that sauce. I just wanted to get a rise at you.
All right,
So
so
yeah, yeah.
what is a popular game that everyone seems to love but you do not like?
That is another good question. I don't know if I have a example where to this day I would say I don't like it, but Red Dead Redemption 2, I could not get into that game when it came out. Now, that happens to me with a lot of games where everyone's going crazy about something and I'll try it and I just bounce off real quickly. But I
Mhm.
always chalk that up for the state of mind I'm in at the time. Like, depending on what's going on in my life, there's certain types of games that will work better with me than others. Like, sometimes I want something that's real quick place. I can get in, I can get out, I can shoot some people or something like that. And sometimes I want a game that I'm gonna get real immersed in. But yeah, I'd say Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I haven't played it a lot yet, but I want to. It's just one of those things that when I try to play it, everyone's like, "It's great." I'm like, I put an hour and then I turned it off. So that's where I was at. But again, that's
Yeah.
not me saying it's bad. I look at that game, I'm like, that game looks amazing. It's just,
Oh
Mhm.
I
yeah,
just, yeah,
100%,
it's just wasn't for me at the time.
100%. Yeah.
Role play is the coolest
Yeah,
thing.
it's like me with
Yeah.
Souls like games. I absolutely hate it. But don't like the idea of it. I don't like the idea of being killed by the same person over and over and over and over
For 3
again
hours.
until you actually beat it. Yeah, for hours. And so like just it's like you're asking for torture. But yeah, it's the same way I see Souls type games. So
I hear you. I hear
so
you.
okay. Are esports a sport?
Hmm. I would say yes, not in the traditional sense. So I think
Okay.
that's where people are going to argue about things. It's a competitive sport in my eyes, 100%. But if you're going to say, is it physically enduring? I'm going to also say yes, but not in the traditional sense because you have to, like, the best esports players are pretty physically healthy, right? It goes back to that both and thing. Like, if you want a really
Yeah.
dominant esports team, you can't be someone that drinks Mountain Dew and sits in your mom's basement all the time. You need to have
Right.
you need
Right.
to have
Yeah.
the rest of your life together too, and that's going to feed into that. Like, so
Yeah,
you
that's
got
true.
you,
I mean,
you
there's
have to have good.
exceptions. I'm a big Call of Duty pro follower, like the CDO. I watch it pretty
Yeah,
heavily when it's in season. So, but there's a few of those that
just
seem like
naturally gifted.
no lifers.
Yeah. But again, it still comes down to having certain physical abilities that other people don't, right? It comes down
Yeah,
to your reaction speed, your memory, your ability, your muscle agility, all of that. Like that's all physical gifts that a lot of people don't have. So for me, I've always been pretty decent at games, and I'm also pretty decent at sports that require reaction times, right? So I think it translates for sure. And I so again, people are gonna be like, it's not like soccer. Of course, it's not like soccer, but it definitely takes a gift physically that you need to play it.
yeah.
So I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
Fantastic.
How
I
do you
agree.
pronounce?
I
Oh,
think
go
it's a
ahead.
sport. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I do as well. How do you pronounce .gif?
.gif
Yeah, like
like
please,
the
please, Mark, please.
what is it?
.gif.
Graphical interface,
Oh,
whatever.
GIF, like a
Oh,
GIF.
GIF.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Phew.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
We're
Like a
good.
GIF,
We're
GIF
good.
or
Okay.
GIF. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
GIF.
Yeah. Yeah.
listen, I
I
say
say
most
GIF,
word.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
I say most words incorrectly. Like like I'm having a
I
beer right
know.
now, but like I'll call it like a beer. I'm like, like I was in speech therapy for a long time, so I'm not gonna get hard on anyone. So
See, I've only had one guest on this show that has said that they say GIF. Every other person, I think
Oh
we're
my
on episode
gosh, that
9. This is
person.
our ninth podcast, and 8 out of 9 say GIF.
I mean,
Oh gosh.
isn't the
Oh
original
gosh.
creator saying it's GIF though?
I hope so,
Yeah, I
honestly.
think that's the
Wait, did
case.
he? Wait.
I
No.
Yeah, Will,
Wait,
you're
Colt,
wrong.
are you a GIF person?
Yes, of course I'm a GIF person. I'm from Texas. We say everything weid and wrong.
yeah,
Why
I hear you
why
on
why
that.
why did I even
You say
accept
y'all, I say
like being a
yins.
co-host
There you go.
on this?
What?
Do
Why'd you
what?
agree? You knew who I was before you came here.
Listen,
Okay, I did not
Colt.
know you were a GIF person.
Will's from Brazil, but he speaks Portuguese. That doesn't make sense to me.
That
Why
doesn't
aren't there
make
no
sense either.
Brazilian? Right?
Yeah,
Right?
where's the Brazilian at?
Yeah. We separated, but we still use the same language.
And y'all thought y'all were cool to say hello, hola, but drop the H, so you're just different than Spanish.
Okay, so now this is how the show is gonna end. It's
It
just
turns on Will. Yeah,
you
yeah,
guys turning
basically.
Yeah.
on me. Okay,
Yeah,
great,
basically.
great, great, great. Well, let me change the subject. Is hot dog a sandwich?
No, it's a hot dog.
Okay. Okay.
Like these are questions you could spend time debating, which I
Yeah.
get. But to me, like, what is the ontological nature of a hot dog? If you see a hot dog, do you go in your mind, oh, that's a sandwich, or do you go, that's a hot dog? It's like the is it
It's true.
Play-Doh?
It's true.
Play-Doh. Like there's an abstract form, and that abstract form is realized, and then we recognize it because of that abstract form. So when you see a hot dog, it's a hot dog. It's
Exactly.
meat on bread. So I mean, is a hamburger a sandwich? It's a hamburger. Language is about specificity. So if I order a hamburger, I want a hamburger. I don't want a
You don't
sandwich.
you don't want a ham sandwich. See, and
Yeah,
I agree with that. And our last guest said the exact same thing. They're like, no, it's a hot dog. And I've
yeah.
always been on that same wavelength as well. I'm like, it's because I'm a logical thinker, and I'm like, it's just a hot dog.
No,
But
I
yeah,
love hot dogs. I could eat
they're good.
15 of
They're
them
good.
easily. Yeah, it's a
As long as
problem.
they're all beef. As long as they're all beef.
Yeah, you got to get that healthy hot
Yeah.
dog. I get what I can, but it's
Yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
1 month out of every summer where I'm like, all I want to eat every night is just hot dogs loaded with relish and onions, and I embrace
That's
that
good
far
stuff.
too often. Far too
Mm.
often.
Yeah, well, we're in agreement with that. Just the naming of it. It's a hot dog. It's not a sandwich or a sub or whatever.
Taco.
It's a hot dog. And so yeah, yeah, we're in agreement when it comes to that.
We can agree on a few things,
Physically
Will.
though, physically, it is basically a sub though. I mean,
It's
basically.
basically a sub sandwich turned up.
So I mean, it's if you
So
really want to get into the
again, I agree
etymology
with you.
of
I agree with
sandwiches,
you.
I'll get into it right now. I studied.
I agree. I agree with
So
you. The fact that it's just a hot dog, but physically, it is a sub.
so I will stop there and let you do what you want, Will, because I don't want to waste the 20 minutes or whatever on getting you into the history of the hero and the gyro and how Greeks brought this dish into the US. So I'm just gonna stop there.
Holy crap! Okay, I
Sounds
would
like a
love to
great
listen
idea.
to that in another moment, but yes, yes, I love
Okay,
that.
we'll go to our
So
next debatable question. So,
Yeah,
does a straw have one or two holes?
that's a good question. Um, I will say it has two orifices.
Two orifices.
Yeah,
But wouldn't it
so
just be
I
one long orifice?
is your mouth the same as where the stuff comes out of?
Technically, yes, because it is one continuous structure all the way through.
Yeah. If it was the same, I imagine you could eat both ways then.
It is not the same. It is
But that's a
connected.
that is a point that I think I will then follow through with. With a straw, then you could use it both ways. So yeah,
That
I'll
is
go one
true.
hole then. If I'm gonna get technical about it. So yeah, straw has one hole.
Okay.
Your mouth and your
Humans
butt
have
are
two
different.
holes. Got it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have a lot of orifices.
Well, that's true.
your mouth and your butt is different. Okay, that's the quote. Let's just quote tweet that right now.
Yeah.
Your mouth and
Tweet
your
of the
butt are
year.
different. By Mark Liberto,
This is
2023. Uh,
as you start
but
saying, I
but
have good wisdom for everyone.
okay. Okay, this has to do with a little bit of one of our previous questions when it comes to ingredients that don't belong on Italian dishes. Okay, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Is this like a we're gonna kick him out? Yeah, it tastes great on pizza. Like I mean, they're pizza's great. My region my family's originally from in Italy made pizza. Did they put a pineapple on it back then? No, because there weren't pineapples in Naples. Um, but I love pineapple on my pizza, and I just feel like if there were, they probably would have done it, right? The thing
Yeah.
that I get most confused about is we
Do
call it
you do
Hawaiian
you really
pizza, but it
think they
was
would have
originally.
put pineapple?
Have you ever met Italians? We're very weird, and we're always looking for sensations in our mouth.
I'm
That
Brazilian,
sounds
so
weird.
I know exactly how weird you
Second
are.
quote of the
So
day.
yes.
Yeah. No, my whole thing about pineapple pizza is again we call it Hawaiian pizza, but I'm pretty sure it was invented in Canada. And so I just say give credit to where credit's due. Canada, they
Canadian
need some
pizza.
more rep, right? You know, they got hockey, and now they could have that.
And maple syrup. That's the 3 things they get.
Yeah, those 3 things. That's it.
No, that was
I
not
don't
the
know
trick
why
question
that
of
is
kicking
just
you
so
out.
funny for me. It's like it was made in Canada. That is
Yeah.
just I don't know why that's so hilarious to me, but yeah.
Pretty sure that's the case.
Um. Okay, I don't think pineapple belongs on pizza. However, I don't think it's not bad on
It's not a
pizza. Okay,
condemnable
that's a.
offense, but
It's
same, I'm
not.
not
Yeah,
going to eat the pineapple on the
It's
pizza.
not a sin. It's not a sin. I don't think it belongs on it. I don't think it's a. It's a. I mean, okay. I'm in Brazil. We have Nutella pizza. Pizza.
Yeah,
Okay,
I've had
Nutella.
that in the Philippines.
Nutella pizza.
I did not. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've
So
Instead of
so
marinara, you
it
use
does
Nutella?
it's a
Nutella does
dessert
not
pizza.
belong on
Dessert pizza.
pizza.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it does not belong on pizza. But it's acceptable as a dessert pizza.
I was
It's
fixing to say, if you
acceptable
put cheese and
as a
pepperonis on top of Nutella, you'll need to quit.
yeah.
I'm gonna try it now just to see. I love Nutella.
It's
There was a
well in
It is
Brazil. In
good.
Brazil, it's cheese. It's cheese and Nutella. Cheese and Nutella. So we don't do the tomato
that
sauce
just sounds like
or stuff like that.
constipation
So
right
It really
there.
does.
Dairy and Nutella like that.
well, it does taste good though. It actually, even though I don't believe it belongs on pizza, it does taste decent. You
To
know.
give
So
credit, there are examples of pairing very good cheeses with chocolate. So, you know, it's
yeah,
there's something there.
exactly,
Sweet
exactly.
and savory.
I mean,
Sweet and savory.
look at fondue, cheese fondue with chocolate and all that, stuff. So cheese and chocolate makes sense. I don't think it belongs on pizza as a as a as you reference an etymological the term pizza, right? The term pizza. I don't think it belongs on it, but
What I think you're
it's
trying to
allowed,
say is
I
if you
guess,
order
for
a
me.
Napolitane pizza and they give you pineapple, you'd be confused, right? That's a certain
Yeah.
type of style for sure.
Yeah,
So I get it.
Napolitano pizza is just absolutely the best pizza in the world, and absolutely in the world. And no, no pineapple or Nutella. It belongs on a Napolitano pizza. No, no, ever, ever. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's acceptable. I guess it's acceptable.
Yeah,
Is
it's
what I would
food.
say.
You're
So
not committing heresy. Like, come on, it. You know,
no,
do
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I hear
So
what you're saying. My favorite thing, if I'm getting like pineapple, it's pineapple, onions, and jalapenos. I love that sweet and spice together. Oh man,
I've never tried that, but that sounds like it could be
oh
good.
wow,
yeah,
that does sound good.
yeah.
Yeah, that does sound actually
Lot
amazing.
better than chicken lasagna.
I could probably agree
Yeah.
with that.
Okay, what you guys need to try is
Chicken lasagna.
No,
our
next.
chicken pizza. Our chicken
No,
pizza.
chicken doesn't go on pizza
Chicken
either.
with. Are you serious?
Yes.
Chicken with our special catupiry
You're just making up
cheese
words now.
is the best
Yeah,
pizza
that's not a word.
on the planet.
I
Or
don't.
you guys, okay? You know what? It is the best pizza in the world. Okay,
Okay.
so
Did you
Agreed.
just say Napolitane
anyways,
pizza is the best pizza in the world?
no, I said Napolitano. Yes,
Can we
it's
get
the
a
best.
throw the red
But
flag?
the best pizza in the world
Get a challenge.
is chicken in a catupiry. So
Okay.
when I say Napolitano is the best, is because I like the style of the thin crust, very hard, hard boiled
Boiled.
on the whatever, no, not boiled, the broiled on the
Oh,
Give me
thing,
that
on
boiled
the
pizza.
stove.
sous vide
Okay,
pizza.
you know what,
Sous vide pizza. That's the best kind.
I'm struggling with my terms.
You're
So
good.
but anyways, yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
It's all good.
You
So
know when the crust is blackened, that's like
It's
that's
called a
good
crisp.
pizza,
I do love a
It's
good
also
crispy thin crust.
yeah.
yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
You got to get that
yeah.
crust blackened.
So
Mm.
yeah.
All right. So when you're
Anyways,
making a nice bowl of cereal, whether morning or evening, do you put in the milk first or the cereal first?
So this is one thing I'm going to have some fun with. If you put in the milk first, you may be a serial killer. And not talking about killing the
Thank you.
cereal.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but like literally murdering people without other
Yeah.
people knowing until
See,
we
you
find
thought
out.
the last question was the trick question to see if we were going to kick you out. Actually, it was this one.
Yeah, I honestly don't know anyone that does that. To be clear, I've never
Yeah.
actually met
Only
anyone.
trolls would say they do that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it would work well. Like, because if you do the milk first, your ability to get as much cereal in the bowl as you want, it's gonna be impacted by that. Like, you gotta let it get absorbed and
Hey.
sink down, and that just doesn't make sense.
Maybe it's a good diet strategy because you can't get near as much cereal in there if you got it full of milk.
I hear that, but my end result there would probably just eat the cereal out of the
6 bowls
box
of cereal.
while I'm waiting for the
And
cereal to
then
get
go
into the
kill
bottom of the bowl.
somebody. And then go kill somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had
Yeah.
too much sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I 100% agree. 100% agree. Is it wrong to wear socks with sandals?
No, but I could be in the wrong for this because I call them my air Jesuses when I do that. My wife makes fun of me all the time, and she'll be like, "Jesus didn't wear socks." It's just like I don't know what I'm doing here.
But
I'm
he
just
would have
going
if
with
he'd
it.
have had them.
Yeah, I mean, socks are a gift.
Air Jesuses.
Gifts come from God.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, I don't have now I'll say this. I never wear them out. Like if I'm going to meet friends or family, that's not happening. But if I'm like around the
Going to
house, I
grab
need to
the
go
mail
run
or
and do
something.
something or like run to the store real quick. I'll do it. Like I'll dip in the Rite Aid and dip out with some Air Jesuses on. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a
not for
valid
me.
point.
I mean, I just normally wear thongs. Wait,
I don't own.
flip flops, flip flops.
Straps above
The
the
No.
waist
thong
or
flip
below?
flops, the thong flip flops.
Yeah, I knew what you meant there, but it was still
Where are
funny.
they?
You are
You need
Where
to
are
Brazilian.
they?
say you need
Where
to
are
say the
they right
English
now?
word flip flops.
We understand, Will.
It's actually a word.
I know it
So-
is, but
It is a
you
word. It's just a
yeah.
woman's undergarment, but
Again, Brazilians,
No,
I think
I don't wear women's thongs. Okay, I just
okay, everybody has their
I'm
thing.
just saying that is the way to go.
as long as it's not in public, Will. Same thing.
No, we know what you're talking about. Though. So, what is your go-to fast food order?
Ooh, that is a great question.
Mhm.
Historically speaking, it's been Wendy's spicy chicken combo.
Okay.
Yeah,
Really?
spicy chicken sandwich.
Above Chick-fil-A. When it
I
comes to
mean,
chicken,
there's not a
I'm saying.
Chick-fil-A near me, so that's
That's a good
again
Okay,
just
okay.
like I didn't have a Chick-fil-A for the first time until like 2012. Chick-fil-A is really, really good. So I'll give it credit where credit's due. But yeah, I would say my go-to would be a Wendy's spicy chicken combo with a small chocolate frosty to dip my fries in, and also eat
Yes.
on its own.
I
It's a
have
great,
Yeah,
never
great
dipped
answer.
fries in Frosties, and
it shows.
I've heard it's amazing. I heard it's amazing. Okay, buddy. Okay.
We just had Wendy's yesterday, and we had Frosties. So.
Nice. Yeah, they have that new pumpkin frosty, which
Yeah, I haven't tried that one.
I haven't either. I kind of feel like sometimes I'm a frosty purist where I'm like it's either vanilla or chocolate, but
Yep.
yeah, the frosties are good. I might get one now. Dang. That might happen this week.
Late night Frosty.
Okay. So what? And I'm glad I'm the one asking this. What is your favorite adult beverage?
Ooh, if we're talking beer. I think my go-to is let me IPAs are very popular nowadays. I feel
Almost
like
mainstream now.
very mainstream. And I'm not trying to sound like a hipster, but I'm going to. I liked IPAs when always you could buy at the store was like Dogfish Head 60 or 90 minute. And I'll say this, I was way too young to be drinking them, but that's how far back it goes that I was drinking them. So I do love a good IPA. If it's gonna be a beer, if it's gonna be a liquor, man, I don't do tequila. I'm not gonna get into it, but tequila is the devil juice for me. Not gonna talk about it. Does not work with Italians in my experience. But if it's gonna be a liquor, I do like gin and ginger ales or gin and tonics. There's something about
Oh, okay.
gin. Yeah, I never thought I'd like it. Then I got into it like back in 2011, and it always reminds me of Christmas because it pretty much tastes like you're drinking a pine tree. So
You might not enjoy this, but gin and tonic is actually my answer.
Why
So
would
the
I be
fact that
upset
we
if you're
are
right?
similar in this, huh?
Yeah, I'm saying, why would I be upset if you're right?
Uh, I don't know. I just feel like you're upset if we are similar in any way, shape, or form, because you're
No.
racist. No, I'm kidding, but still, it's just.
Wow.
uh,
Wow.
Are you trying to say Mark hates Brazilians?
That's
yes, he
probably
does.
true. Yeah. I'm kidding.
He does.
No,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
worked with
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of great
He calls
Brazilians in my
me. He
lifetime.
calls me Portugal light. Okay, he calls
No,
Brazil
no.
Portugal
We
light.
all call
Okay.
you Portugal light, and we also call you, we also compare Brazil to like to Narnia. It exists, kind of. Okay.
Yeah, and so I mean, is it racist? I don't know, maybe not, but does it sound like it? Maybe, yes.
No,
So,
I could think of a much
uh,
more offensive term that I will never say. Actually, I don't know any
no,
offensive
I
terms
know,
for
I know,
Brazilians. I can
I
think
know.
of 1,500 offensive terms for Italians, and honestly, you could call me them all, and I'd probably laugh at you. But yeah, no, I
No,
just
no,
don't like your take on chicken
yeah,
lasagna. Will, that's what really irritates me. That's
It all
all. But
stems
that's
from
fine.
that.
no,
I still
man.
love
You,
you.
I guess you just haven't had the right chicken lasagna. Maybe.
It's just not possible.
I mean, oh, okay, okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. In Brazil, it's not a popular opinion. Okay, so a chicken lasagna is not generally people's favorite types of lasagna. So yes, I believe maybe most people will pick beef lasagna over chicken lasagna in Brazil. Just me personally, just me as a person, an
The
imperfect,
man that likes to
you
wear
know,
thongs also likes chicken lasagna. I see this. I see how it adds up. You
yeah,
open yourself up
yeah.
for this,
That,
buddy.
Uh,
I love you,
that's
you
dude.
know we're
that
doing
that
a
that
painting stream,
that's
right,
that's
Will?
exactly it.
We're gonna be doing a
A,
couple of
a,
painting streams,
Well,
and
that
a
sounds fun.
I
painting
think
stream.
yeah, you know, like last time we did, so we had Pepe was the base, and then when people subscribe or donated, they could add to the painting, like put something in the painting or change colors or whatever. And so I think we need to have one where we start. The base picture is Will in a thong with a bowl of chicken lasagna, and then people
Yeah,
can add to that.
I like this idea. Yeah, that's the best
I
idea
don't
I've
I
heard.
don't like the idea at all. I don't
Even
know why
better.
you guys are
Even
agreeing
better.
with this, but I don't like this idea at all. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Well,
Uh, uh,
the best part about
my wife
the
would not.
painting streams,
My wife would not like me exposing myself that way.
but the best
Well,
part is at the end of the painting streams, we always give them away.
yes, it
So
could just be for you and your
there would
wife.
be two people. Me and Freeman would each paint one. There would be two people somewhere in this world that would have a painting of you in a thong with other stuff around you. Isn't that awesome?
I mean,
Yeah, I think
why,
I want that
why,
for some
why
weird
would
reason. Yeah.
somebody want that? I mean, it's just why.
I promise you,
That's
somebody
the main
will.
question. If somebody wants that, that's just weird.
Someone in chat
But
wants to, we just don't know who yet.
Somebody does. Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. So, oh man, yeah, this was awesome. This was
It
awesome.
was.
Yeah.
Well, that pretty
That was
much
good.
concludes all of our questions. But if you got anything you'd like to add,
Whew, man. Will,
Okay,
I know I
you were
give you a
drinking
hard
a beer.
time.
You were drinking a
Yeah.
beer earlier. What was it? So,
that's a good question.
Pennsylvania's finest, a Yingling. It's
okay.
a good. It's one of my favorite domestic beers. Do have some Founders Oktoberfest in my fridge right now, but I was like, it's a little too heavy. I'm very hungry. I literally, like an hour or so before we finished this call, I just finished 5 miles on the treadmill, and I was like, I'm
Wow.
really hungry, but I don't want to be
Oh
eating
no.
chicken on the stream.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to fill up my stomach with a heavy beer when I'm probably going to eat like a late night sandwich here in a few minutes. But yeah, I was drinking a
Gotcha.
Yingling. It's again, it's a good beer. It's very popular now throughout the US. They've got a lot of distribution. I think they have a distribution manufacturing plant down in Florida. So you can probably get it in Texas. Cool if you've never had it.
Probably so. I'll
Yeah.
have to check it out.
Yeah. It
All right.
stems back from my days in college where there was wing night at Toby Hill, great bar in my college town, where it was like
Ah.
a pitcher of beer was $1 and
Oh,
wings were 25 cents. And that's all you
back in the
needed.
day.
No way.
Yeah,
Back in the day, man.
good times.
Hmm. All right.
That's
Well,
awesome.
if there's anything that you would like to promote or tell people where to find you at, now is the time to do that.
Yeah, so as I said, you can find DEVHOUR Games. I'll put the link in the chat if I'm allowed, or if you
Yeah,
want to
that
do it.
works.
Okay.
I don't know if it's allowed or not. I couldn't tell you.
I'm gonna do that right now. And if it screams at me, it's all good. DevHourGames.com. It blocked it, but maybe you can unblock it. I don't know. It's DEVHOUR games.com. You can find our games on Steam and Nintendo. And you can find me at Joyful's Arcade here on Twitch and YouTube. Like I said, I do a video every week or so, sometimes 2 videos a week, depending on what my schedule is. Just yeah, go ahead, check out the content. If you like it, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you don't, I honestly say comment as much as you want because it still helps the algorithm and it doesn't hurt me. So
Even in
uh,
YouTube, bad press is good press.
yeah, in this case, it really, really is. It's not like you're, caught publicly wearing a thong or anything like that as a man.
Right,
So
right.
yeah. Yeah, thanks for having
Yeah.
me. Cool. It was nice to meet you. I'll
Yeah.
definitely come by and check you guys out again. Hope we get to do something else some other time too. It was a lot of fun. And Will, always a pleasure. And I actually mean that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
we
Thank
appreciate
you.
you
It's
coming on,
also a
man, taking the
pleasure for
time
me too. Yeah.
and putting up with Will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good
All right.
night, everyone.
Have a good
Talk to you
night.
later.
See ya.